Hey everybody, it's George Whittam reporting for Whittam's World. This week we're doing a little something different, which I love to mix it up here. And we got a suggestion that came in from Mark Chen. Not all of our incoming questions are questions. Sometimes they're just ideas. And in this case with Mark, he has a whole presentation that we're going to do today, which is awesome. And it's on Reaper, which is a super powerful, really innovative recording software that people are doing bigger, complex projects and especially audiobooks have really grasped. And he wrote in and he said, I have a definite nerd topic, but could be useful for the community. This is more of a suggestion of ways to explore the DAW you have to make it more efficient. So we're going to talk about today creating macros so that you can automate certain tasks, and also saving presets for certain things that you do often, like rendering certain types of file formats. And we're going to look at keyboard shortcuts and a whole slew of stuff, so I'm not going to waste any more time. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining me today. Let's get into it.
You got it. Thank you, George.
Awesome.
It's just one of those ideas of let's make things simpler for people, help them to produce more faster.
Yeah, because Reaper's a really powerful program. It can be a little intimidating, and if you can find ways to make it run better for you and make it smoother for you to operate, that's what our goal is today. So we're going to try to get through 10 of them in about 10 minutes. We're going to work quick, and let's see how it goes. So Mark, have at it.
Here we go. One of the first things that I found totally by accident, because I made a big error when doing a multi-track project. This is one of those things, turn it off right away. If you look at the Reaper screen that I've got up right now, basically it's just 3 copies of the same track. Nothing is, if I highlight a track like that, it's highlighted, that's great. But you click out of it, it's not highlighted. By default, if I hit something like split, which is supposed to just split a track, unfortunately, if you don't look, it splits all 3. And you manipulate one, it manipulates all of them. If you go up to the right-hand side where it's got all this telling you all the, the sound stuff, click on that, it opens up the preference box. So you go to preferences, you go down to editing behavior, the main editing behavior screen, come down to here. If no items are selected, some split, blah, 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 blah. Turn that off. Now you come in, I'm going to fix this. Okay, now it's repaired. If I am not in something and I go to split, it won't split. I've got to actually select a track. It'll split just that track, not all of them. Hallelujah.
Awesome, great. Next one.
If you haven't already, there's a set of extensions for Reaper that have a whole bunch of cool things. Some of them you're not going to use. Some of them are not kind of neat. The SWS Extensions. Stephen J. Cohen has it listed on his website as one of the things that he does to modify Reaper, which is very cool. A cute one that I like to use because it makes it more like you're in a studio, which is really cool. You load them in. It'll come up with this little box of extensions. Come down to SWS Options. Come down here, Enable Red Ruler while recording. What that does is it gives you an extra visual indicator that you're actually recording. And so if you record, try searching. It will light up the little red bar. It's like very cool. So that way you know exactly what mode you're in.
Cool.
Another thing that Reaper does straight out of the box, it will snap to grid, meaning that you click on something, it will not go to the exact point where you're clicking. It'll go to the nearest time frame, be it a second or whatever. Under Options, come down to Snap Grid, unclick Enable Snapping.
Yep, you definitely want to have that turned off for editing voiceover.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Punch and roll is a big thing, especially with audiobooks and other production. You want to be able to set that up so it's quick and easy to do. You pick Options, Metronome Pre-roll Settings. Click on that. Normally, this is unclicked when you first start. Click down to pre-roll before recording, and it will do pre-roll measures. Length of time, you're going to have to play with it a little bit. 1.5 works okay. I don't know how long that is in measures. It's roughly 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds.
It's going to depend on the beats per minute of the project.
So then when you go to record, it will pre-roll R, like very cool. And then off you go. Now, another thing too, a lot of times you're going to want to manipulate or move something around. You want to do it in a solid block as opposed to all these little chunks. Go to wherever you want, pick a side, right mouse click, zip it on over. It highlights just the sections that you have selected, as opposed to everything throughout the project. And then Shift Control G glues it together. Now you can move it as a block.
Gotcha.
You glue all the good stuff together. Now you can move it around, do whatever you want.
What else you got?
I've got some effects, and they're installed. I want to save that as a template. So save project as template, and you can call it whatever you want, gate 2, and you can put up more information there if you want to. Boom. Cool thing is, let's say there's one that you use all the time. Go back up to the project thing, pick it, go back up to project, okay? Under project here, you look project settings. When creating new projects, use the following project file as a template. You can browse through, it'll open the template thing, and you know what? I want to use this one from here out.
So every new project from here on out will default to that template.
It'll load it in, rock and roll. You always do one particular thing, it loads it right in.
That's huge. That's a big time saver.
Doing macros in Reaper is really easy. One of the macros that I have liked to use is to combine a couple of different keyboard shortcuts into one macro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm defining things as regions. So a chapter is a region, and you can adjust things. The cool thing, when you're defining a region, it's pretty easy to do. Standard keyboard combo would be Shift-R. Highlight a region or a section. Shift-R creates the region. Then you have to go up and open it up so that you can then label it. I did a little macro for it. So what I've done is I've taken 2 and done insert region from time selection and edit the name. And that way what it'll do is if I make a new region, highlight here, do a new region, instead of just opening up the or creating the region and then having to make the name, it already opens up the little edit region box so I can name it, boom, and move on.
Cool. That makes
it a little bit faster.
Definitely.
Now, on the fun part, let's say I'm going to go to render the whole thing. Okay, so I've got some presets in here. Reaper will let you render damn near anything. It's really fun. You can do this. I want to do project regions. I'm going to save it to, okay, I've got that one. Great. You can do wildcards on file names. So you come down here. I want to do each region, and it will take it, render it, and put it into that particular file.
Wow. So if you prename the regions with the proper names, it'll export them out into the names.
Now, doing it that way, you've got to select everything under the sun, make sure that it's correct, What you can do is a preset. Save preset. I want to save a preset. I'm going to name it something.
So every single thing you see in this render to file window will be saved as a preset. Every setting you see.
The only one that it won't will be where it's going to go, which will be the directory.
Right.
So you go up, you select your preset, it auto loads in all this stuff, and then you just pick your directory, boom, and off you go.
Cool.
Then you render it, and it'll render all the files that you have. Another thing, too, especially if you've used Audacity before, you get used to a certain way of working. Again, the nice thing about Reaper is you can change whatever you want. In Audacity, to record, you hit R, which is kind of cool. In Reaper, you hit R, it's going to do toggle repeat, which it has some great uses, but not for here. Transport record. Okay, it already does media keyboard. I have no clue what that is. I want to add one. I'm going to add a keyboard shortcut, make it R. Boom. And that's done. So I can come over here. Let's show. I just hit R.
And off you go.
And there it is. R is now record. So if you're coming off Audacity, you can make at least some of the controls similar.
Yeah, that really helps when you're transitioning softwares. I always show people keyboard shortcuts in Twisted Wave to more simulate what they were doing in Pro Tools. That's a popular transition.
All right. This would be really important, especially for ACX folks. Okay, show action list. Analyze. Okay. In the SWS options is another reason to use it. They have analyze and display item peak and RMS. Very cool little tool. Add a shortcut. We'll make it A. Boom. And that's done. Now you can go into a piece that has to be highlighted. Hit A. And it shows your peak and your RMS average.
Awesome. Very handy. One more. Last one.
Okay. let's say you want to do a shortcut and create a shortcut and normalize to a dB value. So you want to, you're recording a little bit light to make sure you don't have anything too hot. And you then want to normalize it up to like -3. Again, we're going to do this. We're going to do normalize and down also in those. Okay, normalize selected takes to dB value. I'm going to add a shortcut and Shift-Alt-N, I believe. And Shift-Alt-N, and it will normalize. This one, I haven't found that there's a preset that'll hold it, but...
Oh, you have to type it in each time?
Yeah, that's the only downside. Boom, but it'll then normalize your audio. So those are a bunch of things that I found really useful with Reaper, and more than likely in other programs, similar kind of stuff, just to make it go faster.
I love it, man. Well, Mark, I really appreciate your time.
We thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's been great having you. Thanks for guesting on Whittam's World this week. And if you've got an idea for the show, maybe you've got questions, or maybe you've got some awesome tips like Mark did today, send them in to Whittam's World at edgestudio.com, and we'll schedule them in for a future episode. If you have tech support issues you need to deal with, just go to vostudiotech.com. And if you need just general help with your anything at Edge, just call us, 212-868-EDGE. Mark, how do people find you on the web if they need to hire your voice talent or anything else?
I'm putting together a website. It's not quite there yet, but mark.chenvoices@yahoo.com.
Sounds good, Mark. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
See you guys next week on Whittam's World.